to infinity and beyond.
What's up, everybody? It's Roger and James here from Infinity and Beyond, presented by DisGaming.com and DisKingdom.com. In this episode, we're going to be sharing our thoughts on episode 2 of Guardians of the Galaxy Telltale game. So, warning, there'll be spoilers and stuff in this one. I'm going to be honest, we are probably a little bit late to this. This was primarily because I moved house and didn't have any internet for 2 weeks, so I couldn't really kind of download it. So, played it over the last 2 nights. James, what did you think?
There were some good bits, but for the most part, it didn't quite live up to my expectations after the first episode. So, I mean, what do you think?
I thought it was okay. It's like the actions. Let's see. I don't know if there was more to do because you had to obviously roam around that temple a little bit and find. I mean, I say do the puzzles. There's not really puzzles because you just click on whatever's got a little icon on it, and eventually you'll find the thing that you need to do. So that was okay. The shooting and stuff, I mean, kind of pretty simple. I don't really fully get the whole story with Rocket of going and finding an otter. I didn't really see any point in that in the slightest.
I'm assuming they're setting up something for later down the story. Obviously, part of it was to define whether or not the relic was something you could just use to bring people back to life, and obviously you need to charge it first, which probably means someone dying.
Yeah.
That's the Cosmic Cube's MO, but we can't use the Cosmic Cube, so we're going to use the Forge instead.
Yeah.
I suspect, though, we'll revisit the whole otter thing in a later episode, because it didn't go anywhere in this one. She died. She didn't get resurrected. Rocket's sad. Yeah. I mean, it was actually a good emotional bit for Rocket. Normally a character who does not have any sort of, positive emotions. Yeah. He's always angry and stuff. So to have him actually care about a character who isn't Groot was a nice change. But, yeah, that story, we'll see where it goes, if it goes anywhere.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think as the results come in about the fact that it being, I think 90% of the audience went to help Rocket rather than going straight off to fight Nebula, because I think everyone probably would have sat there and going, well, we're going to fight her anyway, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I definitely went and did the Rocket thing first, but part of me was kind of just like, man, Rocket's laying it on thick on this one. From a purely tactical and whatnot perspective, it's like, yeah, we totally should have gone after Nebula first. I mean, We obviously don't know what Rocket's trying to do on the planet before we go, but it's like, yeah, your girl's dead. She's still going to be dead when we get back. Yeah. I don't think it'll make a difference.
No, and there's that thing as well of Peter Quill got brought back to life within, minutes or hours of being dead. Do you really want 2, 5, 10-year-old otter being... It's gonna would have been.
Apparently Rocket does.
Yeah.
So.
So no, it was interesting. It's definitely. I'm enjoying the story aspect of it and it feeling a bit different. The only thing that I can find what I'm doing is, and it might be that thing again of not keeping my attention so much, is that thing of what mind sort of wanders off of. Oh shit, I need to check because it's just a movie. You kind of feel like. You can sort of take your eye away from the screen because you're listening or something, and then you miss one of the trigger points. It's so easy because you're falling into that. Or you're just watching an animated movie, and then occasionally you've just got to do something. But no, I'm enjoying it, and as of my first Telltale experience, I'm fine with it. I'm enjoying it. I'm glad I'm playing it. I think it's a good story, and I'm still. I mean, the whole thing with the music, when he's battling and you've kind of got the music, that wasn't too bad. Just in general, I don't like the bit the after trailer bits where they're doing all being filmed kind of thing. That just feels really naff.
It does. I'm sure there's a storytelling reason for it. Maybe the final episode will be, something where that happens after the interviews. Like the interviews are setting up, a jump point because they've done that before. I think Tales of the Borderlands did that. But yeah, even by Telltale standards, this episode or this chapter in particular, there was very little interaction at all. I mean, you had the walking around the temple, shooting down Nebula's ship or disabling it, whatever.
And the Nova Corps, though.
And the Nova. Oh, that's right. You had to disable the Nova Core as well, but that was the same sequence.
Yeah.
And the rest was just kind of like, oh yeah, make sure you hit the right trigger button. If you don't, we're just going to leave the right trigger button up on screen until you hit it.
Yeah.
Make sure you hit these buttons. And if you don't hit those buttons, we'll wait for you. It's like, okay, that's cool.
It's definitely interesting. I don't know if... I think for me now, with these kind of games, it's not for me to the idea of I've now got to go out and download and play all the other games. It's not doing that at all. But I think if it's a story and some characters that I'm interested in, I think I will be invested in this series. Now I've kind of had a bit of a taste. I've done 2 episodes. I kind of like what it is. It's a definitely different experience. I like the fact that I can sit down for 2 evenings, play the game, get a load of trophies, and the only thing I have noticed is like now I pretty much just play with the headphone on with this one because listening to the game is important because it's so often now I play with a podcast or something on in the background or wrestling or something like that, and this was kind of one of those games where you need to focus on this because this is like a movie.
Yeah, and on the spectrum of things, we often find that for the Telltale games, the second episode and the third episode tend to be the weakest, so it's kind of the hardest to pay attention to.
Yeah.
So it is good to not have podcasts going around in the background for them. And so far of the 2 episodes that we've had for this, I think it was the weaker one. But Telltale does have a track record, normally, not always, but normally, of finishing strong even if the middle bits aren't quite so hot. So we'll see what happens. We don't even know when episode 3's due.
No. I have a feeling that this one's done a little bit more, I think, because it's an original story, they're not tied into the movie franchise. I don't think Marvel will put up with what they've done with their other things of just random stuff. They're going to want to get this out regularly. The fact that they've kind of got the trailers and stuff coming in, I don't know. There's also that thing as well of I'm hoping in some ways that we have like a story arc. So the episode 2 is going to have that issue of like a lot of the movies and Netflix shows where it drops in the middle where they're trying to drag it out. I'm hoping in some ways that we get some kind of major aspect in episode 3 that then that they can close off some aspects to move on, kind of like you find like with like the Netflix Marvel ones where by episode 5 or 6 they're closing off the first chapter and then they kind of boot up to start another story, so then maybe episode 4 might be again that weaker one.
I mean, we'll have to wait and see because we have no idea, and like you mentioned, those trailers at the end really don't reveal anything. It's like, oh, and then terrible things happen. Well, yeah, it's part 3 of 5. Of course, terrible things. This is called Rising Action, guys.
Yeah,
so, we don't know when it's coming out, but we'll talk about it when it does.
It's odd because it's in some ways as well. I do like this the way of just dropping them in little episodes, try a bit. I literally spent 2 evenings, just an hour each time. Done, dusted, on to the next. But also feeling that different kind of gameplay and just in general feeling like, okay, this is fun. You definitely couldn't recommend this if you haven't played the first one. You have to. It's one of those situations of you're either in on this series or you're not, because technically it's kind of a standalone thing, but you still kind of look there going, no, you need to have seen the first one, even though they did recap it like a TV series at the beginning.
You know what? Anybody who jumps into a Telltale series in the middle of the game really is doing it wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, you absolutely can if you're willing to buy them a la carte and not buy the season pass. Actually, some platforms you might not even be able to buy the individual episodes. You might be able to buy the first episode as like a taster, but then I think at least on some platforms the other episodes are locked behind the season pass. So I mean, you can actually and from the menu, I don't think it will let you even be like, oh, you want to start on episode 3? Well, you need to play episode 1 and 2 first. No. So. I mean, you used to be able to. Yeah. The older ones were definitely just like, yeah, all right, you want to start Sam and Max right in the middle? Have fun. Yeah. Good luck.
It's definitely, I think, a fun one. Kind of grown more accustomed to this Peter Quill, the way he looks. I think going into the second episode, I've already watched 2 hours of him in action there for the jarring aspect of him not looking like Chris Pratt in any which direction Whereas Gamora is also that weird thing as well of, and it's the same thing in some of the other games of. I'm used to seeing Gamora from the movies, and of course she does look slightly different, like with yellow eyes and that aspect to it.
Not just yellow eyes, but yellow rings around her eyes. Like she's got like a built-in domino max or something, which is in line with how she was drawn in the comics for at least a little while.
Yeah.
But I mean, even the comics started using the movie design, as is fairly typical with comics. So. But it's not the only place that we've seen Gamora using that, because she's also using that design in Marvel vs. Capcom.
Exactly.
So,
yeah,
it's one of those weird like brand changes. And Marvel Disney is normally very good about being consistent in how characters are portrayed across multiple different forms, even if it's not the same universe. So this Gamora change is very interesting, and it makes me wonder if they might be planning on changing her design maybe after Infinity War or Guardians 3 or something.
Good. Again, it's playing on that Nebula kind of Gamora sister thing, because she gave,
which they never were before the movie, but whatever.
No. Again, it's that kind of thing of you sort of quite often feel like with Peter, you play. I find you're almost put in that situation where you're playing the peacekeeper, you're trying to keep your friends, your family happy, keeping Yondu happy, keep Rocket happy, keep them that kind of. And when you look at the results afterwards, when I see it's like 89-90% for each question, the story kind of driven to the fact of Peter Quill is just trying to keep everybody happy.
Yeah, and it's interesting because with the Telltale games, you can normally tell when the better episodes are, because you see a much bigger or a much more even divide in those choices. If you're looking at the divides and it's 80-90%, that's really not much of a choice.
No.
More often than not, that means they didn't do a good job of giving you a binary choice.
Yeah.
And there's definitely been a couple games where it's been like 49.9% and 50.1%, and this is not. Neither episode 1 nor episode 2 have done that.
Episode 2 felt even more very
lopsided.
Yeah.
And going back to the characters just for a second, because I want to point this out. The one character who's annoying me is Drax. His voice is weird. His design is weird. He's not acting like any version of Drax that we know. He's just a whiny little child who's eating a ton of cookies for no apparent reason.
I think it's that they're playing on that fact that he's lost, that he's got no idea of what to do because Thanos is gone. I suppose because in the movie they did it with Ronan, but they didn't really kind of do it the same way. But no, in general, I've been pleased with it. I'm pleased with how that episode went, what happened in general with the concept of this Telltale series. I'm definitely in on it. I am enjoying it. I think it was definitely money well spent for that season pass, because it wasn't too much to begin with, but definitely a thumbs up.
Yep. I think anybody who hasn't jumped in at this point should probably just hang out and wait to see how the rest of the thing goes, to go down the longer, it's out, and it'll have been out for quite some time by the time episode 5 drops, and we've got a whole bunch of sales right on the horizon, at least on the PC side. I'm sure the Telltale games go on sale on PlayStation and Xbox all the time. We still don't.
Yeah. Or even go into Xbox games with Gold or PS Plus a year or two down the line.
Yep, we've certainly seen that a couple times. The one thing we're still kind of waiting to see is if it'll make the jump to Switch. It makes sense they would.
I mean, it was up for a pre-order on one of the one of the UK sites as a physical edition, but it never kind of came out on it. One of those situations, I think, had it been on the Switch, it would have made my life a lot easier, because I was just taking my Switch to work rather than, I'm not being funny, but trying to drag an Xbox One. I did it one night to try and update some stuff. It's not as easy as a Switch, but it's there's no real graphical difference. It would have, but again, I am a little bit worried with my Switch of having not enough memory for everything that I want to download. So the PS4 is a little bit better option for digital-only purchases on that case. But anyway, I'd love to know what you guys think of episode 2 of Guardians of the Galaxy Telltale series. I'd love to know your thoughts on that. James, where can they find you over at?
Sometimes you can find me at heroiclegacy.com. Someday it'll get updated again.
And you can find us over at DisGaming.com and at DisKingdom.com and all our different social medias. And as a quick note, just to say, in June we are giving away Cars 3, Driven to Win on either PlayStation 4, Xbox One, or Nintendo Switch. So you definitely want to go check that one out over at disgaming.com/giveaway. And on that note, guys, thank you very much for watching, and I shall see you guys soon. Laters.
Later.